case they have questions for a certain item. Yeah. What time is it? Oh, yeah. Oh. Gotta unmute myself. Hello, good afternoon. I hope you all can hear me.
We can hear you, Jennifer. Good afternoon.
Hello. Hello, good afternoon, Supervisor. How are you?
Nice to see you too, Larry. How you been? Nice to meet you too. I know.
Fist bumping, handshakes,
Shaking hands.
elbow rubs.
How you been? Looks like I'm over here. Is everybody?
Good afternoon, Supervisor.
Good afternoon. Nice to see you, Mayor Navarro. I hear you. I don't see you.
Let me turn my camera on. Sorry about that.
There you are.
Actually, it was actually a voice from God. No. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
I'm all over the place today. I started in Yucaipa up to the Morongo Basin, back down here, and I end tonight in Rancho.
Tonight in Rancho? Boy, you're busy.
Yeah, a lot of miles today.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so.
How you been?
Hi, guys. The latest. How are you? Hi, Supervisor. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Oh, Frank's in. Hey, Frank. How are you?
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good. Dr. G. Who else is there? Jennifer Ferris. For you guys? What? How long did it work for?
Jennifer, we don't have a quorum yet, do we?
I believe we are currently, yes, we do.
We do?
Yes, we have
I don't see
exactly 4
Penny on there. I
folks.
don't see Dusty on there.
We are still waiting on Mr. Burrows to arrive.
Okay.
So if you wanted to wait for him.
I'll wait a couple minutes, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like him. He's always pretty.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And that's cool. What he does. Process. That's what it, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't have any problem. Got your staff here today. Your staff member. Yeah, they're all here. Hi, Penny.
Hi, how are you? I'm good. How about
All
yourself?
right, Mayor Navarro, I was
You're back
told
hacking it?
Mr. Burrows will attend prior to closed session, or I'm sorry, after closed session, so it looks
So
like
we
we're
can go ahead
okay.
and get started and go into closed session, then come on.
Yeah, it looks like we're good.
I need it.
We're good? Okay. All right, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the San Bernardino International Airport Authority. Today is Wednesday, July the 28th, 2021, and it is now 3:02 p.m. Madam Clerk, if you would please do a roll call for this, please.
Yes, certainly. Please state your names for the record. Members from the city of Colton on the line.
Frank Navarro,
Dr. G is here, City of Colton.
Thank you very much. Member from the County of San Bernardino, 3rd District.
Don Rao.
Thank you. Members from the city of Highland.
Penny Lilburn and Larry McKellen, alternate, is in the audience.
Thank you very much. And members from the city of San Bernardino.
John Valdivia.
Juan Figueroa.
And I believe Mr. Charette is also on.
Yeah. Fred's muted.
I believe he's just, yeah, there we go.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I was
Thank you.
muted.
No problem. Thank you very much.
I'm just an alternate anyway. It doesn't really count.
Thank you very much. We have a quorum.
thank you very much. Is there any public comment for closed session, Madam Clerk?
The public was given until 1 p.m. to email any comments for a closed session. I received none, and there are none in the audience today.
Okay, thank you very much. I will now ask our legal counsel to read us into closed session, please.
What about Loma Linda?
Oh, I'm sorry. It looks like Member Rigsby joined us.
Yes.
And yes, member from the city of Loma Linda.
Okay.
Dusty Rigsby.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Scott, if you would, please.
Sure. The commission will proceed to closed session for two items. The first, conference with legal counsel pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D2, regarding significant exposure to litigation in the case Center for Community Action versus FAA, Court of Appeals docket number 20-70272, and also consolidated with the State of California versus FAA with a docket, Court of Appeals docket number 20-70464. And the second item is conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The commission will meet with its duly designated representatives to discuss salary schedules, compensation, and fringe benefits payable to the non-represented positions specified by title, which is the position of Chief Executive Officer. That is the two items in closed session.
Thank you very much, Mr. Scott. We will now recess into closed session.
Please remain on the line. Yes, please remain on the line, and I will allow you into the breakout room momentarily.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. We will have the attorney read us out of closed session, please.
Mr. Mayor, there was no reportable action taken in closed session.
Thank you very much. We'll now reconvene our meeting and call the open session to order. And Mr. Valdivia, if you would please do the Pledge of Allegiance for us. And can we mute our mics, please, except for him?
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Scott, do you want these
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Navarro.
Yep. Are there any items to be added or deleted to today's agenda?
No item, sir.
All right, okay. Mr. Burrows, welcome.
Thank you.
Let me move on, and then I'll bring you in a little bit. Item F, conflict of interest disclosure. Anybody interested in disclosing a conflict of interest? If you haven't already done so and you're on a Zoom environment, please make sure that you get your conflict of interest form into our clerk. Thank you. I don't see anybody with raised hands. Moving on to item G, informational items. And on this is number 2A, Executive Officer's Report. Mr. Burrows, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Good to be here. So my first one is a fun one because you get to see our talented marketing manager, Amber Casares, and some of the recent work she's been doing. So Amber, if you come up and show us your handiwork, and then we'll hand it off to some of our colleagues. Good? She has a movie for you.
Oh, okay.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The video that we are about to play for you delivers a behind-the-scenes look at nighttime maintenance at San Bernardino International Airport. It highlights the important work that the airport operations and maintenance teams, along with assigned contractors, conduct to keep our airfield safe and operational. Extensive work such as this, which requires a temporary runway closure, is typically performed at night to reduce impacts on aircraft operations while providing enough hours to complete the projects. And as a side note, this video was shot on an iPhone with the exception of the drone footage, which was captured by our airport operations team. Enjoy.
Thank you.
So sorry for that pop-up. I was playing video games on Jen's computer right before the meeting started. So if I can, maybe let's switch over to Ms. Pritchett. She has some unfortunate but now fortunate news. Kat, if you would.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Over the 4th of July weekend, we sustained an insurable loss over at the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department hangar complex. The main fire suppression riser, which as a provision of the lease we have with the county, the SBIAA is responsible for maintaining, failed, and it resulted in extensive water damage to the administrative side of the facility. The hangars were fine, the aircraft was fine, there was no damage on the north and the east, or the south and the east side. We do anticipate the loss to be around $400,000. We do have a $25,000 deductible, and we hope that all the build back will be completed within 90 days. At this point, we wanted to tell the commission because we will be processing payments through an emergency account that will exceed $25,000 under our emergency purchasing provisions. So when you see those purchases come through that account number, it is to pay for the build back of that loss. But with that, that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any riveting insurance questions if you have any for me. That's it.
Through the chair, Mayor Navarro.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. What was the date of loss and where was it?
It was July 3rd, and it's the riser in the maintenance facility at the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department hangar complex at 199 Hangar Way.
And the $25,000, what I call copay.
Yes, the deductible with our property insurance.
Our deductible. And so there's a $400,000. Who is that assessed by, and what's the plan to? Who are the contractors working on?
A large portion of that will be through water remediation and dry out that we have a contract that was pre-bid with ServPro. They are available to us on an emergency basis. They're very familiar with our facilities and our staff, so they are our contractor for emergency services. We do not have the invoices yet, so we don't know the totality of those. The balance will be billed back of the facility. There were 10 rooms that were impacted by the loss. Luckily, we saved the drywall, but it is a lot of carpet, a lot of paint, a lot of baseboards that will be involved.
And anticipated completion.
We're hoping 90 days. 90 days,
Thank you.
of course.
And for our county partners, I would just like to add to that our sheriff's team has been amazing to work with. They are so patient with us. This one's a little personal for Mr. Barrow and I, because we worked kind of hard to build that thing for them, but they've been just incredible and understanding and very, very patient. Right, Kat?
Very,
So
yes.
please thank them if you see them, please, because we need them.
Sure.
So that's good. That's good. So if to the chair, if there's no other questions, I have one last one here from our finance.
I have a question,
Okay,
Mr. Burrow.
One more question, Mr. Rigsby. Go ahead, please.
Is this an experience-rated insurance policy? And if so, what's the impact on our future premiums?
It is, and we won't know the impact until we rebind next fiscal year as far as the loss ratio on our premiums.
Yeah, so this is not, get away with $25,000.
No, the
This is
deductible
going
will
to be
be
a lot more.
correct. The overall impact will impact our premiums in the future. We don't know what level just yet.
And this isn't Kat's first rodeo, as you can tell. So as we prepare for budget adjustments, once we have that information known, we will bring that to you once we can quantify it. So.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Kat.
Of course.
Any other questions?
All right, pleasure of the commission. We'll have Mr. Cousineau give you some good news.
All right, short and sweet. The good news is on July 9th, we funded the first of our issuances for $8,999,077 in Series A bonds to refinance the debt SBIAA owed to IVDA. $8,318,000 was used to liquidate that debt. Another $535,000 went to the fund the debt service reserve with our trustee at U.S. Bank, and another $146,000 which is going to pay the costs of issuance to the various participants. These bonds, the Series A, were federally taxable, had an all-in interest rate of 4.06%, and they will have a final maturity of 6/1/2032. And we will be discussing the second issuance of item 11 today for what was approved by the commission on May 26th for a total of $15 million, comprised of $9 million series for the refinancing of the debt and a $6 million series for the fuel farm expansion. That concludes my report.
And then I'd just add that if you see Mr. Cousineau and I walking around in cufflinks and suspenders, don't tease us too much. Been hanging out with some bankers lately, but for good reason. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Burrows. Mr. Cousineau, thank you much. Kat, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Valdivia.
I want to send my deep appreciation to the video crew and operations. And Amber, thank you very much for the presentation. I think we should take a moment and pause and reflect on the growing aspirations of this agency and the upkeep that's necessary to continue operations. So I want to send my deep appreciation to our staff and thank you very much for the attention to details. And these are all safety aspects and enhancements for our airport. And I think that the road is bright for our future. And so we're grateful for our staff and thank you for the update. That was great, and we need to celebrate that. So thank you, Mr. Burrows.
Thank you very much, Mr. Valdivia. Okay, moving on to item H, commission consent items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that are to be pulled for separate discussion or separate vote?
Move for approval.
I have a motion to approve by Mayor Valdivia,
I'll second. Lilburn.
and I have a second by Mayor Wilburn to approve the consent calendar items 3 to 8. Madam Clerk, would you please do a roll call vote?
Yes, certainly. We have a motion by Member Valdivia and a second by Member Lilburn. Please state your vote for the record. Member Navarro?
Yes.
Member Rigsby?
Yes.
Member Rao?
Yes.
Member Lilburn?
Yes.
Member Valdivia?
Yes.
And Member Figueroa?
Yes.
Thank you. Item passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item I, commission action items. Item number 9 on the agenda. And this is to conduct the election of President, Vice President, and Secretary for the San Bernardino International Airport Authority for the term commencing July 28th through June 30th. Presenting on this is Mr. Burrows.
And I'm actually going to lean on my wingman over here, Mr. Huber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Mr. Burrows. Every year, the officers of the commission need to be, reelected and reshuffled. There's a procedure that's been outlined. It's been done this way since about 1992. The offices are president, vice president, and secretary. Each term is good for 1 year, and this is our annual renewal of the offices. The procedure that is outlined in Resolution 2-92 is that the president opens the nominations for each office separately. If there are no nominations, then the current officers remain in place. But a nomination may be made by a commission member and seconded by another commission member, as long as neither is the candidate themselves. If there's only one nomination, then the president will close the nomination. That person is deemed elected. If there are 2 individuals nominated, then the successful candidate must receive 4 affirmative votes.
Thank you, Mr. Huber. Okay. I will now open the floor for nominations for the office of President for SBIAA for the upcoming year, July 28th, 2021 through June 30th of 2022.
Okay, Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Reason.
I nominate for president, continuation of you in the office.
Second.
Motion to nominate current President Frank Navarro by Mr. Rigsby and a second by Mayor Valdivia. Any other nominations before we move? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Well, actually, since
Actually, we don't need a vote.
since there were no other nominations, Mr. Mayor, by acclamation, you are the president for the
By
next year.
acclamation.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
a
very
great
much.
job.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. I hope to continue doing the best I can for the agency and working with all of you and making this a much better place to be at. Thank you. Moving on, nominations for Vice President. The floor is now open.
I'll nominate Rhodes Rigsby if he'll accept.
Rhodes Rigsby, okay. I have a nomination for Mr. Rhodes Rigsby. Is there a second for Mr. Rigsby or any other nominations on the floor? Mr. Huber, can the president do seconds and nominations in this agenda?
Yes, you can. As long as you are not the candidate nominated for that position, then you can either make the motion or the second.
I will second Mr. Rigsby's nomination then. There's no other nominations on the floor. By acclamation, Mr. Rhodes Rigsby is Vice President for the upcoming year. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to nominations for Secretary. The floor is now open for nominations for that position. I will nominate Mayor Lilliburn.
I'll second.
Second. From Mr. Figueroa. Motion by myself and a second by Mr. Figueroa for Ms. Lilburn to be Secretary of the agency for the period July 28, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. There being no other nominations, then by acclamation, congratulations, Penny. Look forward to working closer with you. I can't hear you. Okay. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for your input. And let's move forward. Item number 10. Item number 10 is to ratify the procurement of specialized services with Titan Aviation Fuels Incorporated for supplemental aviation fuel supply and delivery at the SBD International Airport. Mr. Burrows, please.
Yes, I'll tee this one up and then turn it over to Mr. Gibbs. This was an important step, and I want to thank Frank, you as a president, for understanding the need for us to act swiftly. And with that, Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, Mike. I think it's important to note that on July 16th, Mr. Burrows authorized the emergency procurement, which has led to this ratification today, of an additional fuel supplier. And that was promulgated by the need to ensure certainty of supply on the airport. Regionally, when I say regionally, I mean the Western United States is experiencing a shortage, not so much relating to the actual commodity of jet fuel, but to the supply side of it, getting and trucking that stuff to airports in the Western United States. So it's an issue that we want to hedge against and make sure that we can assure our customers on the airport of constant supply. This is intended to be supplemental service, not main service, and the amount that's included for the contract is about 5% of our overall fuel supply. But it'll get us through the rough spots, and Titan has a different cadre of trucking companies that they contract with that help support our certainty. So in addition to the 4 contractors that our current contracted company has, Titan has an additional 7 suppliers. And so that spread of contracted truckers will help with our certainty here in San Bernardino. So that's why it's here before you today, a ratification of that action. And Mr. Burrows took the immediate concern and executed it and reached out to the president of the commission to let him know of that action. It's before you today to ratify that important action that took place.
And then I'll just echo Mark's comments and also thank, in addition to his hard work, the incredible team at Luxair SBD. They do great work every single day, and our beautiful customers out there, get the benefit from it as they should. So if you see them, thank them for us too.
Great team.
Comments or questions on this item from commissioners? Any public comment on this item, Madam Clerk?
I have no public comment here in the audience, nor did I receive an email regarding the item.
Okay. Yeah, Mike, I just want to say thanks to you and to Mark and staff and to the commissioners for supporting this item, because as I recall from our conversation, we were having issues in getting sufficient fuel to service our customers here at the airport. So I really appreciate what you guys did, and I'm sure that the commission feels likewise. So, Madam Clerk, the Chair will entertain a motion for this.
Move for approval.
Rouse, second.
Move for approval, Mayor Valdivia.
Yeah.
Thank you much. Supervisor, thank you for your second. Madam Clerk, would you please take roll call vote?
Yes, certainly. I have a motion from Member Valdivia and a second from Member Rao. Please state your vote for the record. Member Navarro?
Yes.
Member Rigsby?
Yes.
Member Rao?
Yes.
Member Lilburn?
Yes.
Member Valdivia?
Yes.
And Member Figueroa.
Yes.
Thank you. Item passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 11, adoption of resolution number 2021-05 from the San Bernardino International Airport Authority, authorizing the issuance of one or more series of general airport revenue bonds in the aggregate principal and amount not to exceed $5 million and approve the related documents. Present on this is Mr. Mark Cosino. Mr. Cosino, please.
Thank you very much, Mayor. This resolution 2021-05 and the attachments, second supplemental indenture and the placement agent agreement before the commission are for the expansion of the fuel farm from 150,000 gallons to 500,000 gallons of Jet A storage and increased handling capacity to meet our increased customer demand on the airfield. With the adoption and approval, we anticipate issuing $4.8, almost $4.9 million in Series B bonds through a competitively selected direct placement on August 12th would be the closing. $4.7 million of that is to fund the construction of the fuel farm expansion, about $66,000 to fund debt service reserve for that portion of the Series B, and then an additional $85,000 for cost of issuance for the Series B. Total cost of issuance is going to come in at $231,397, and that will be below what we originally anticipated at $235,000. These bonds are completely tax exempt, and they have an all-in interest rate of 3.54%. The steps we took to get here, we adopted a budget on 6/24/20 for $8.5 million to refinance the SBIAA's debt. The commission approved PFM Financial Advisors as our financial advisor in November. We provided updates to the commission via the Finance and Budget Committee throughout last fiscal year. And then 5/26, the commission approved not to exceed bonds of $15 million in one or more series. And this is the second series. The first series, as I discussed earlier, was issued, and we received the funds and paid off the obligations on July 12th. And we do have, if the commission has any questions, our representatives from PFM, Christine Choi, and also Orrick Harrington and Sutcliffe's bond counsel, Kevin Hale. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Cosino. Comments, questions from commissioners on this item, please? Seeing none and hearing none, Chair will entertain a motion to approve item 11.
Rao moves the item.
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Second by Valdivia.
Thank you, Mayor. Any public comment on this item, Madam Clerk?
There's no public comment, and I've received no emails regarding this item.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, would you please conduct the roll call vote?
Yes, I have a motion by Member Rao and a second by Member Valdivia. Please state your vote for the record. Member Navarro?
Yes.
Member Rigsby?
Yes.
Member Rao?
Yes.
Member Lilburn?
Yes.
Member Valdivia?
Yes.
And Member Figueroa.
Yes.
Thank you. The item passes unanimously.
Thank you very much, everybody. Moving on to item number 12, consider and discuss the SBD Good Neighbor Program quarterly report. Mr. Mark Gibbs, if you would, please.
All right, thank you, Mayor. As has become customary over the last year, the Good Neighbor Program is a program that was developed to provide outreach tools and also to track concerns of the jurisdictions that surround the airport and any concerns that neighbors have and so forth. And that's included working closely with the specialized consultant Aviatrix. And with us again today is Ms. Rosemary Barnes to walk you through those results from the Good Neighbor program for the last quarter. Ms. Barnes, are you with us?
I am, Mark. Everybody can hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Barnes.
Wonderful. Thanks. Great to see you all again. Happy to be back. I'm Rosemary Barnes, Aviatrix Communications, and returning to share the quarterly update on the airport's Good Neighbor program. Jennifer, if you can go to slide 4, please. So very excited to share that we've achieved 1 year of progress and success with this program. We launched this program in July of 2020. And I'd like to quickly review some of the highlights of the program since we launched it. Despite COVID-19 limitations, we've been able to engage with and educate our community about the airport, related noise events, and how they can both give and receive feedback about to the airport staff. Technology has definitely been our friend in our socially distanced world. We've been able to ID and implement many channels to enhance two-way communications with our community. Certainly the website, the program has its own mini site, and we update that routinely with new information. We've had impressive engagement with our social media, 5 channels. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Amber and I are constantly reviewing and communicating on how we can reach the airport's target audiences. The quarterly newsletter, Good Neighbor News, continues to be published. In fact, you'll receive the summer edition in your inbox next week. And again, Amber and I have worked hard to increase the number of target audience subscribers. Pilot education and offering them resources has been an important part of this program. We are encouraging our pilots to use preferred runway landing procedures to minimize impacts in the neighborhoods, and certainly our seasonal air tanker-based pilots are one particular pilot group that we want to reach out to since they're not at the airport typically year-round. Tech tools allow us to easily share information in other languages. We've had a specific focus on Spanish, with it being our second most utilized language in our community. And ultimately, this program tells the stories about San Bernardino in creative and unique ways. And with Amber sharing that video a little earlier, I know how hard she worked to not just be there all night with the teams and film that, but just putting that program, that story together in an engaging and enlightening way for our community to understand what happens behind the scenes at the airport and in the wee hours of the evening. So congrats again to Amber for that incredible effort that we in fact also shared on social media this week. Slide 18, please. Let's go to the quarterly totals and trends. Slide 18, thank you. So let's look at April-June numbers. The second quarter, we had 36 distinct households filing aircraft noise comments and 140 total comments received. And you'll see in this chart that 109 of the 140 comments received, which is actually 78%, those came from 7 distinct households in the city of Highland. And this is normal for any airport. There will always be a few neighbors who are more vocal than others, and we're happy to see that our community members are engaging with us through the program. Slide 19, please. So this slide shows how neighbor comments and distinct households have changed year over year for the second quarter. We had 3 less households filing comments in this past quarter, but we did have an increase in the number of comments received. And again, it's important to reiterate that the Good Neighbor program was launched in July 2020, so it's expected that the number of comments received would increase as we've been asking the community to share their feedback with us. Slide 21. And in this slide, we're showing the comments by type broken out. But it's interesting, we've noted that now that we've launched this program, the split between how our community are filing their comments Before we launched the program, it was an 80-20 split, 80% of comments coming in through online, but that number is now approaching almost 100% of comments coming in through online, and that just shows us that that technology, that tool, is very easy for our community to use, and they're finding it's an efficient way to share their feedback with the airport. Slide 22, please.
I have a question.
Sure.
On that last slide.
Sure, 21.
Yeah. There were 97 comments. Was that vibration and rumbling or flying over home? I can't tell the color.
Yeah, flying over home was the most the most comments that we received in that category.
Okay. Given that those are probably coming from those 7 households, I'm just wondering, what are they saying? Because, if you're on the landing or taking off flight path, that's going to happen. Are they just saying, okay, they did it again, they did it again, they did it again, or are they saying, stop doing that? I said stop. Gosh darn it, stop. What is it? Are they just increasing intensity of complaints, or just iterating that they flew over my house again?
So I can speak to that a little bit. It's kind of a combination of all of the above. Different people experience noise in different ways, and some are concerned with the aircraft simply being over their home, versus others that are concerned by the noise or maybe the time of day or evening that they fly over the homes. And that's what we like to track so that we can quantify that data. And that's one of the reasons you see it broken down the way that you do. It's a very useful tool on the collection of data and how this gets reported out to the industry as well as the FAA. But yeah, a lot of them, there are several categories they can click on when filing a noise concern, and flying over the home for a certain subset of the data collected the concern wasn't necessarily noise, it was simply, why is there an airplane flying over my house? And that's what we want to understand. Yeah, and that's part of the reasons. Some of it is inevitable. Others may not be inevitable, and it really that's why we want to collect the data so that we can properly analyze it and look for solutions, if there are solutions. Sometimes there's not.
Yeah, I just expected more of them to be unusually loud. The flying over the home is kind of a duh when you're at the end of an airport runway.
Thank you. Go ahead, Rosemary.
Thank you. We'll move to slide 22, please. And in this slide, and we see the numbers on the left again, just broken out in a chart, but just want to point out that airport staff do make every effort to respond to community members that want to discuss the event or reason why they've contacted the airport. Slide 24.
Rosemary, Chair, can I ask Rosemary a question?
Of course, go ahead, Penny.
Rosemary, under the frequency of flights, have we noticed an increase of complaints from since Amazon has increased? Have you noticed the complaints of frequency of flights?
I'm going to ask Mark to answer that one too, since he's
you bet. It's kind of interesting. The majority of large aircraft typically land from the west, so over Colton and San Bernardino. Occasionally they land from the east, but typically they like to fly what's called the ILS, and that provides them radio guidance onto the runway. So their strong preference is to land runway 6. It's kind of a difficult question to answer, only because the program has been up and operational for about a year. And that's, along the same timeline that, Amazon began operating in April. So the two, there's a little bit of overlap. I think as time goes on, we'll have more clarity to that answer.
Okay.
But I think it's hard to answer it right now.
Gotcha.
And then I'd just add to Mark's comment what he and Mr. Person and the operations team do as UPS or Amazon Air or even FedEx engage with new flight teams and personnel or frequencies, they do a lot of coordination and orientation. And you know, just because you're a very, very experienced commercial pilot doesn't mean you've flown a lot out of this airport. And I want to commend you and your team, Mark, for doing that outreach as well. And it's a good way to say welcome to the neighborhood too. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Rosemary?
Thank you. Slide 24. As in the past, the majority of comments filed are by those who live anywhere between 5 and 10 miles from the airport. And you see, you know, the most prevalent comments are coming from the Highland area located at the east end of the runway, as you see on this cluster map here. So, you know, we just try to highlight where the majority are, but certainly Highland is a community that is responding with their thoughts and comments about aircraft activity in their area. And ready to go to the final slide. So just in review, between the first and second quarters of 2021, we had an increase both in number of comments received, as well as the number of distinct households filing those comments. But year over year for the second quarter, we did have an increase in the number of comments received also, but a decrease in the number of households filing. And as mentioned earlier, so yeah, those reasons for this increase in comments, the new air cargo facility opened in the spring. Aerial firefighting training commenced at the air tanker base. And in fact, those firefighters responded to some wildfires in the community. Certainly, we're not out of the woods yet with the pandemic, but people are out a bit more, the warmer weather, less restrictions. So they're out more and they're noticing aircraft more and more. And of course, the airport's growing, aircraft operations based on transient operators. And bottom line, the program's working that enhanced community education and awareness. So we're pleased that this program, 1 year later, has been a real positive effort. And we look forward to continuing to enhance the program in the year ahead. So with that, Mark and I can answer any questions you may have about this report, but know that you'll find all this data on the Good Neighbor Program website and in your summer newsletter that you'll receive next week. Thank you very much.
Rosemary, thank you very much. Any comments or questions from commissioners on this item?
Chair, I have one more question.
Go ahead, please.
Rosemary, maybe a month or two during one of your updates, we spoke about, because Highland had so many comments, that it was our constituents. And I just wanted to put that out there again. If there's something that we can do as council members, because those are our constituents, and the alternate, he gets hit hard with those questions where his district is. If you could let us know, and we could also reach out to them if they have any additional questions. We know you probably do a great job, but if there's anything that we can do to reach out to them as well, to kind of let them know that we're in concurrence with the airport and there is a landing pattern and so on and so forth, just so we can mimic your comments, that would be appreciated. And I think you were going to send me something last time, but I just wanted to throw that out there for you again.
Okay, thank you very much. Mark and I will reconnect on that. And,
okay.
Thank you. And
yeah, no, what I was going to say too is one of the things, and Rosemary, I'm volunteering you, as I often do, and tell you later, but now you can hear me volunteer you. I think it would be actually helpful if you're open to it, Penny and Larry, that we can have Mark and Rosemary go over to a council meeting. I mean, if you'd like that, we'd be happy to do it.
Well, you know, here lies the problem. People don't come to council meetings. They would rather pick the phone up and, complain, but we just want to make sure that you guys know that we're available, that if we need to call the constituents and let them know, and answer any additional questions. But I'm sure you guys do a great job on that, but I just wanted to let you know, since our constituents, maybe we can reach out to them as well. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions of Rosemary or Mark? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to item number 13. And that is to review status of the action plan for the San Bernardino International Airport Authority through December the 31st of 2021. Mr. Burrows, if you would please.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, obviously, a great job on the Good Neighbor program, Rosemary and team. And thanks for keeping up the good work. But obviously, this month has been the kickoff of your new fiscal year here at your airport, and also the mobilization and commencement of the construction of the fuel farm expansion. So Mr. Barrow and our FBO and operations teams are getting ready for the quiet before the storm, but everything is going great. Contractor has been amazing, and you're going to see the site looking a little different here pretty soon. So stay tuned on that. I do want to then just also touch on the bond issue and really shine a light on Mr. Cousineau and our amazing finance and bond team. He and I have been through a lot of bond financings in our career, but this team has been working amazingly well, and it's made my job so much easier. So I want to publicly thank you and commend you. It's been exemplary. So, but we will really celebrate when we close on the last tranche. So I'm going to not jinx it too much here. So, but on behalf of your staff, I also just wanted to say congratulations to our new officers, and thank you for our commissioners. It's great to see you, and see you too. But as your staff, we do actually talk about this. I mean, with your busy roles and positions out there, the amount of time that you give us, I mean, we're very, very fortunate because we need you to do this, and thank you so much. So that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Before we go to adjournment, commission comments?
I have one.
Yes, please go ahead.
I attended an event here Saturday night, the fly-in, and I just wanted to extend my appreciation and acknowledge the hard work of the FBO girls. You guys did a great job. It was a great event. I had a great time. Sorry about the email miscommunications, but I think when we look at Amber, your emails, I don't know if that registers with us. So Mike, we may want to duplicate that, because when we see an email from Burroughs, we always jump on it. I'm not sure that we recognize Amber's. So I think that's where maybe a little miscommunication. Anyway, you guys did a great job. I wanted to stay for the second movie. The couple with us, I think he had ADD and he talked during the whole movie, so we couldn't wait to get him home. But we had a great...
No, that was me.
Oh my God. But it was really nice, and thank you. I just want to say thank you. It was a great job, and I hope we have more of those events.
Yeah, thanks for being there too. It was a lot of fun. It was great to see you.
It was.
And speaking of email, thank you and your team, their supervisor, because obviously we found in some of our other platforms that we use, because I use one, Amber uses another, clerk of the board uses another one, and we have this set list of stuff that just gets punched out, and I just think, okay, everybody gets it, and that's not been the case in some instances. So what I'm going to do, I was just talking to some folks before the meeting, is for the next one, and I really want you all to go to the next one, because it's going to be very different. September 25th is what we're toying with, and so I'm going to get an email out early from me to you, and then you'll see the really pretty invite from Amber, and you might see Mark and I do some silly stuff on this one. So
and I even still have my hand drive.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. That's something you really need to know. But so for clarification, we're not doing the air show this year. Is that correct? Because last time I saw on there, we had chosen a date, and I don't know that I knew we canceled.
It was really challenging for us, and so to just get it out there, we had kind of kept hope alive as long as we possibly could, but had to take an action a while back. And Kat, you got all the dates because you led that charge. but there was an unfortunate decision to actually deobligate the fund because of the fact, and I'll just be blunt about it, with all of the activity at the airport with commercial carriers, FAA is not going to allow us to close the airspace, which in part, like we were talking there tonight, is why we've been testing this fly-in format so we can still do something for the community, because we, as your staff, we love putting on that air show. It's a lot of work, right, Kat? But
Kat's going, I'm glad it's over.
I know, speak for myself right now, you, but yeah, that's really the nuts and bolts. It's nothing against our partners at Hangar, our incredible teams, and Stater Brothers and Partners and San Manuel, but that's really it, because we got to follow the rules. And you know, it's kind of victims of our own success. So for the public, for everybody, we're still going to do something, but it won't be in the same vein, unfortunately.
It is unfortunate, but I understand. And also the event that San Manuel, the groundbreaking that I attended on Friday, great event. San Manuel does everything first class. They did not skimp on that event at all. So
thank you for being there too. I mean,
I'm looking forward to it.
They were talking to their chairman and their CEO. You know, there's some overtures to get all of you up to their big opening there that they had, I think, the next day.
Yeah, they did, the hotel.
And I haven't got to see it yet. I was gassed after that one, so you know, I need to go look too. But hopefully there'll be invite on that.
They sure have the contacts and the resources for party stuff.
Yeah, that did seem something else. But you know,
So.
you did pretty good.
Great job. Thank you,
Okay.
Frank.
Thank you, Penny. Anybody else? I just want to say, Mike, I'm sorry that I couldn't be there for the movie night fly-in program, and I also missed the San Manuel, but you know my situation with the health issues in my household. So I will endeavor to try and make some of them this year. Hopefully things change for the better for us at home. And I look forward again, as I said before, to serving as president of the agency. And I want to thank my colleagues on the commission board for their support. These are things that sometimes don't come easy. But I do appreciate your support, and I do look forward to working with each and every one of you. And Mike, to your staff, and to you, and Mr. Scott Huber, our legal counsel, I want to thank you all for the work that you do every day at the airport. And I know that in the coming days, in the coming years, that things are going to really develop for our airport, and we need to continue to work on that as we move forward and keep that vision of what we want our airport to turn out to be. What can we do to bring it to a better place? And with that, there be no other comments, no other business to attend to for the agency. Anybody else? I thought I heard somebody. No?
There are no other public comments, and I received no other emails regarding public comment.
Thank you. And there being no other business then to attend to for the agency, our next meeting will be Wednesday, August the 25th, 2021, and hope to see everybody in person. And this meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you, everybody.
afternoon.
That's kind of important, yeah.